This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Sanyo Zio by Kyocera on Sprint. This is an Android 2.1 phone, and it's a budget phone. It sells for $99 with a 2-year contract. And it's one of the first phones to have the Sprint ID service, which gives you some customizations of your wallpaper, icons, shortcuts, that kind of thing, depending on your interests. It's a very thin phone, and it's very light. It's under 4 ounces. And we've got covers here on the sides for pretty much every port. There's a 3.5 millimeter stereo jack underneath here. Pop it off like so. So those usual plastic fiddly kind of ports. This is your micro USB port. Volume controls right here. And on this side we have the micro SD card slot, spring loaded as always. And Sprint includes a 2 gig card. The phone doesn't have much internal storage, so that card will come in handy. And this is the dedicated camera button for the 3.2 megapixel camera that lives on the back here. And you can see your speaker grill, and the back comes off so you can access the battery. The phone has EVDR-Rev-A 3G. This is a wide VGA 800 by 480 pixel display with a accelerometer, which is pretty nice for a budget phone. It is not multi-touch though. It's really sharp looking and very nice. The plastic over the top is a bit glare inducing, and it's got a curve you can see here, which may be part of the reason the screen is not that responsive to touch. It's a little bit maddening at times. You feel like you really have to press hard. And using the keyboard, which is the standard Android keyboard in portrait mode, is very difficult. Easier in landscape because the keys are bigger. If you take a look at the front over here, you can see these are called send and end buttons that will light up if you're pressing the buttons. Standard Android keys, home, menu, actually written as menu instead of the menu symbol, back button, and the search. And we've got a trackball here, which is, it's okay. It requires kind of a hard touch. It's a little different that way. Here we have shortcuts to the phone dialer screen, all your applications, and the Sprint ID. Let's take a look at that for a minute. And you can choose your ID. Right now I'm on Auto Enthusiast, which gives me a bunch of shortcuts to places like Motor Trend and Car and Driver. It gives me a mileage counter app. Of course, NASCAR is already on here, but it gives me a NASCAR widget on the home screen, and it gives me an automotive enthusiast style wallpaper. And you can choose from others. If you want to get something new, just tap there, and here are the ID packs that are currently available. The Sprint one was pre-installed, which is pretty much a standard one. You can choose a pretty much no Sprint ID, just vanilla, which would be my ID. Business Pro, Fashion and Beauty, Golf Enthusiast, Health and Fitness, and so on. And if you choose another one, let's say we want to do Business Pro, gives you an explanation about what's on there. And you can choose to download it. It says travel assistance 24/7, restaurant reservation information, things like that. Industry news, probably some stock apps. All generally free software. And if you want to install it, hit that. Agree to the terms and conditions, and it will download in the background. You can just say continue, and it'll let you know when it's done. These are touch-sensitive buttons, by the way, that are actually more sensitive than the display. We'll take a look at the customizations that we have from the Auto Enthusiast before we switch over to Business Pro. You've got the chronometer style clock up here. You've got the shortcut to team racing that you're following. Here we've got all those shortcuts to various car magazines, websites. More. Kelley Blue Book even, Auto Trader, all that kind of thing. That's the standard Handmark Express widget up here, and this is the weather widget, which has nothing to do with the customization. And there seems to be a widget trying to sell you discount software for Android. The phone has a 600 MHz ARM6 family CPU. It has a GPS, of course, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 802.11bg, and obviously the micro SD card slot. Take a look at what's on here. You'll see you've got the usual collection of Sprint software. Access to your account. They like to bundle Handmark Express. We've got some demo games on here. Sprint TV, Sprint Zone, obviously NASCAR. And a couple of other goodies. They put Tweetcaster on here, which is a nice Twitter application. We've also got the standard Google applications on here. You have Google Maps, Google Navigation, of course the Android market. You're not locked into anything that Sprint offers there for downloading your applications. And the YouTube player, voice dialer, and search with Google. Okay, so now we can see the Sprint ID pack that I chose, Business Pro, is ready to install. So I'll tap on that. And it's going to change our wallpapers, our ringtones. So here we are now with the business pack loaded. It took quite a bit of time because it installs quite a few widgets, some applications and shortcuts. In fact, there's a lot to change at once for any smartphone. So it was slowing down trying to load some of the desktop widgets, and we rebooted it and they were all here immediately. I will say that some of these widgets may be a little heavyweight for a 600 megahertz phone, but now that everything's loaded up, it's scrolling pretty freely here. So we've got the Blick calendar widget, which can read your calendar appointments off to you. We've got the time and date in a very business-like fashion here. Shortcuts are your more everyday business kind of things: email, contacts, messaging, voicemail. And we still have a couple of standard widgets here. We've got the Handmark Express news widget, the weather. Other things that's added are TripIt, a shortcut to Telenav. In fact, I reinstalled Telenav, which is standard on the phone, as part of this pack. And we've got currency converters, My Assist, stuff like that. So it's a neat idea, and it's a great start if you've never used Android before, because it can give you a whole set of applications you didn't have to go out and find yourself, and some widgets that are useful. The drawback is it can slow down the phone a bit. Let's talk about call quality a bit. Call quality on the phone is quite good, which is nice for a budget phone. Very easy to understand, clear and sharp voice on both ends. Volume is average for incoming voice. And reception, though, the bars look pretty measly up there. According to the Android settings applet, it tells us that it's actually getting a pretty good signal in terms of dB on Sprint's EVDO and CDMA networks. The rest of this is Android business as usual, so we're not going to show you every single application on the phone. You can see here I'm still having some trouble getting that touchscreen to work, though. We'll take a look at Sprint TV real quick. Which runs in landscape mode. The phone does have an accelerometer. It does not have a proximity sensor. And it has an ambient light sensor, which is on the conservative side, keeps things a bit dark. And we'll take a look at ESPN Mobile. And this is over Sprint's 3G network. Kind of choppy and kind of blocky, but it's watchable. Yeah, kind of choppy. And I'll take a look at contacts. It's business as usual for Google. It's nothing really different or exciting to hear here. We have one contact, so it's showing us John Doe. And you can call his home, or you can email him. And if you wish, you can edit the contact. And as you can see, it has Exchange email support and application for that, as well as just straight Google. We're going to go with straight Google for this contact. And you can add in additional email addresses, IM, postal address, organization, nicknames, website. Exchange support is made by FutureDial, which is handy because we all know that Google's support for Exchange, including PIM syncing, is not that strong. They do fine with the email part, but the rest is a little bit weak. We've got Telenav on here. We took the GPS for a test run, and it did just fine. And again, we've got the YouTube player on here for fun, and you can use the Android market to download whatever applications you want. So that's the Sanyo Zio by Kyocera. It's a $99 phone on Sprint running Android 2.1 with Sprint's ID service pre-installed on the phone. It's not a bad phone. We have some misgivings. It does get a little bit sluggish at times with that 600 megahertz CPU, and the display is just not very touch sensitive. It is indeed a capacitive display, but you really have to press hard on it, which can make you a little bit crazy sometimes when you're using the keyboard in portrait mode. Thankfully, it has an accelerometer, and you can use the keyboard in landscape mode. It is a good-looking phone, undoubtedly. Very attractive, fairly slim, very light, modern looking. Sort of reminds us of an Asian version of a Sony Ericsson design phone. Visit mobiletechreview.com to read the full review.